What started out as a normal day between a father and his three sons packing and preparing for one last camping trip would leave Heidi and Kevin Bardsley, Garrett's parents, grappling with the fact that their son just vanished. On August 20th, 2004, Garrett Bardsley walked off to get dry clothes after falling into the water while on an early morning fishing trip with his father. And this would be the last time Kevin ever saw his son. What was meant to be a relaxing camping trip, although they were Boy Scouts and had been camping for quite some time, this was supposed to be a trip where the boys could just relax and not have to work towards any kind of badges or perform any task within the Boy Scouts. Kevin and his father were members of the Boy Scout community, and that day they set off with their children, never expecting to what was to come that early morning of August 20th. Come with me today as we go back to August 20th, 2004, that fateful day that leaves Garrett's family, friends, community, and the world asking, where is Garrett? Welcome back to On This Date. On This Date is a channel where I will discuss past and present murders, disappearances, or anything true crime related. And before I get started with the case of Garrett Bardsley, I just want to let you guys know that Garrett's name is number and description of Garrett's age at time of disappearance. Welcome back to On This Date. On This Date is a channel where I will discuss past and present murders, disappearances, or anything true crime related. And before I start with today's case, I just want to let you guys know that Garrett's name is information such as description of Garrett's age at disappearance, current age, height, weight, hair, clothing, which what he was last seen in, and other characteristics as well will be listed in the description space down below. I will put this down here so you guys can go look at the missing profile picture and study his face. Please take just a few minutes. I know it is 21 years later, but you just never know. Garrett could be out there, and all it takes is for one of you to see his picture, and some characteristics, they stick out even as we grow up. Some, like the gap in the teeth for Garrett, you know what? That's something that may still be prominent. Maybe he hasn't recorrected it. You know, Garrett still could be out there. And until he's found, I want to try to leave that as a hopeful possibility that even though he's probably been through a lot, he would still be alive and be able to be brought home. So please take a minute, look at his poster, get familiar with it a little bit, and maybe keep an eye out, and just remember that this is someone's child at the end of the day, and all it takes is a couple minutes and you might know something that could really help this case. Okay, so before we can actually get into August 20th, the day of the disappearance, let's start on August 19th, where Kevin, Garrett, and his two older brothers, Jared and Cameron, set off to a meeting place where 8 other fathers from the Boy Scouts and about 18 kids ranging in ages from 12 years of age to 18 years of age gathered. They packed and prepared for the end of the year camping trip. When they were there, they didn't have to work for the merit badges, and this was just meant for the boys to relax and a time for everybody just to kind of unwind before the school year approached. The Boy Scouts master and leader, Wally Trotter, would be amongst the group. He would be unable to attend, though, due to work obligations. However, he would arrive, he would help pack everything, and he would drop his son off. And at that point, Gary Hansen would be the one taking over as the group leader, and he was a Boy Scout father as well. After packing, getting everything situated, the group and the fathers would head off to Cuberant Lake's basin in Utah. The area they set off for was a campsite near the Cuberant Lake. This lake runs along the Uinta Mountains. This area is about 50 miles from Salt Lake City, Utah, and the trail is about 6.6 miles in and out. Due to the 1,000-foot elevation, it can be really strenuous on your body, and you have to acclimate to the elevation as you hike. So with this, they end up bringing a mule. And to me, I was like, when I read this, I kind of like stopped for a second, and I was like, a mule? Are we sure? Like, this probably sounds stupid, but I did not think that, like, in 2004, just your regular everyday people would just bring a mule hiking. Smart, because I mean, it carries the stuff for them so they're not so tired, especially because it's such a strenuous elevation change and the hiking and the amount of hours that are going forward. So yeah, I mean, smart. Plus, like, you get a bunch of whiny teenage boys that don't want to carry anything. I know it's Boy Scouts, but like, it's probably a little easier just to pack the mule up and let it go. I seen some reports that there was one, some reports that there was multiple, but nevertheless, there was a mule. So I thought that was kind of interesting that that was something that they used like that. So the area was very rugged, and it took them a few hours to get through this maintained trail. And because of the rugged landscape of it and the boulder, I mean, this is very vast of just not safe things to be hiking or going through. So there is a trail that is maintained for visitors, hikers, and so that you can get safely through these passages without having to fight, big boulders, trees falling, maybe steep drops and things like that. And this is probably to prevent, things happening where people are going to go naturally because it's a beautiful place and they want to see it. So they kind of do this so that way it's more of a safer thing, and they don't have to be out there trying to save people's lives and potentially having deaths out on the mountain. So this is more of a safer alternative than to just hiking kind of like willy-nilly, I guess. So during this hike, they pick a campsite and they set up a location off the woodline and close to the other lakes or small bodies or water surrounding the Cuberant Lake. The group would arrive and set up tents and fires, hang out, and eventually go to sleep. Everything was fine, and no one would be able to foresee the tragic events that are going to take place. And this is absolutely horrible because little Garrett, I can't imagine what he goes through if this is truly just an accident, but oh, so heartbreaking. So that morning of April 20th, Kevin awakes and he decides it's a good time for him and Garrett to go for an early morning fishing trip. He woke up Garrett, told him to get dressed, and they would go to one of the surrounding lakes. This lake sat about 300 yards away from the campsite. And as they were walking through and around the pond or the lake, the body of water, Garrett ends up falling in and getting his sneakers and his shoes wet. And because of this, Kevin tells Garrett to go ahead. And I think it's a good idea if you head back to the campsite to get some dry clothes. And this is because, it's early morning, it's chilly, now he's wet, and it's going to make a long morning, not a very fun morning, to just kind of relax and fish. So as Kevin tells Garrett to go ahead and head back to the campsite to retrieve his dry clothing, he looks back and Garrett's headed the wrong way. So Kevin recorrects him and redirects him and, tells him, hey, you're going the wrong direction, bud. You need to go this way. So Garrett sets off in the direction that Kevin has pointed him to now. And about 15 minutes goes by and Kevin, Garrett's not back. So he's wondering what happened. So he ends up heading back over to the campsite. And at this point, he's expecting just to see Garrett over there. Unfortunately, when he arrives, he does not see Garrett. He sees the other members of the Boy Scouts, and they're all like kind of waking up and preparing for the morning. And he asks, like, have you guys seen Garrett? Sorry, my crutch just fell. He asks, have you seen Garrett? And that's when, the other members say, no, they have not. So not really being alarmed, just thinking that Garrett has some way turned himself around and he's just kind of like lost out in the woods and not much time has gone by. They start calling his name and yelling for him, but they get no response. So Gary Hansen states that, like, we need to find him. He's not going to make it through the night. This is serious. Like, this is serious. So Gary, at this point, being the group leader and, feeling the need to go get serious help, takes the mule and goes back down the trail. So he makes it down the trail, which again, you have to remember they're a few hours into the trail. So when he's going back, it's going to take the same amount of time. Yes, he's riding the mule, but I mean, it's still a far ways away. So about 10:52 a.m., the Summit County Sheriff's Department, they were alerted. And this is the next call that Gary makes is to Wally, the group master and troop leader. So he's letting him know, like, what is going on and what can they do. So Wally feels very obligated and does leave and end up going and helping them look for Garrett. So as Gary is down there at the end of the trail, a sheriff comes. They take a car back up to the top of the trail. And all this in hopes that when they pull up, Garrett's going to be there. But Garrett is not there. So at this point, they set up a command center, and this is near the Cuberant Lake. This is another lake, past lake. They started a plan, sent out a search and rescue, the SAR team, and also did a search at Weber River towards the road, because that would then lead out to the road. Their thought process was that if he got out of the actual basin and went the direction of that, he could have got lost, and then maybe he even could have went up into the canyon. So they sent out search teams across there. They also brought in horseback searchers, and they did a loop around the lofty lake area that's surrounding in the basin. There was absolutely no evidence or trace of this kid anywhere. And it's like he just vanished. They continued to scream his name again and again in hopes that he would hear it. And then nothing. Like, in just a short amount of time that he left his father, and he would have got turned around and they figured it out and already started calling his name, never mind the massive search that was going on. How, this is what I struggle with, because how did he just vanish? Like, even if it was a half an hour, if you figure the dad waited the 15 minutes, he realizes he's not coming back, he walks back. In a half hour time, we'll give it even a half hour, they're calling his name. I know a half hour is a long time, but I don't know, 15 minutes to a half hour. I still, with screaming in the woods, I just don't know how, or why wouldn't the child scream if he was lost or yell out for his dad? I don't know. I just, like, it just happens that fast. Like, 1 minute your children are here and 1 minute they're gone. It's like it disappeared. Oh, it's very frustrating. It's like, I don't know how these parents deal. I think that when you're dealing with, not to say that this isn't easier, but when you're dealing with the death of a child, the child is gone, and you have that closure part of it. When you have a child that's disappeared, and especially in these kind of elements, and you have no answers, you're always looking, you're always searching. And I just think even about, like, I don't mean to get off topic here, but I think about the Kyron Horman story, and that little boy just gone. And then you have Desiree, who still to this day looks for her son all the time, every day. All her free time is wrapped up in just trying to find her son's, to bring him home with her. I just can't even imagine doing that day after day after day after day and trying to stay positive. It breaks my heart. It's, yes, it's tragic in both sense if your child is taken from this earth from you, but the other alternative is to always be looking. I'm sorry, guys. Like, you just start talking about it, and even though I've listened to this case, I know this case, I've done research on this case, it's like the so unknown. Like, I've dug down Reddits, I've dug down all kinds of places to try to, like, what happened. And same thing with Kyron Horman. I mean, we pretty much know what happened there. We just can't find him, Terry Horman. But that's for a different day. I do have a video on the Kyron Horman situation. So if you want to know my thoughts and opinions on that, you could go watch that. Okay. So back to where we're at here. I'm sorry, guys. Just, especially with the little kids, it's like, it's so unfair. It's so tragic. His mother, like, the father, I couldn't even, like, forgive myself if this happened under my watch, and he's not to blame. I mean, yeah, in the end of this, you'll hear where kind of my thought process is on that as well. And I mean, as far as we know, he is not to blame. And I really don't think, I just think that when you don't have an answer, you can come up with all kinds of speculation. So I don't know. I don't think I would be able to leave the woods, like, until I searched every square inch of it. I don't know. Tragic. Honestly, tragic. Okay, sorry. So we're back to where they have the horseback searchers. Sorry, guys, my eyelash keeps plopping down, and I'm sure it'll annoy you guys. My hair keeps touching it, and it keeps going down. So back to Garrett. Rein it in, Courtney. Sorry. It's just, I think my ADHD is going because 4 days of dealing with the dog sick, the vet, I think we're like, a little ADHD today, maybe. Okay. So we have the horseback searchers, and they are now deployed around Lofty Lake. Again, no evidence of them at all. So at this point, when night comes, they decide that they're going ahead and put helicopters in the air using the FLIR. And so in case you guys don't know what this technology, this FLIR technology does, this is forward-looking infrared. And I pulled this little summary off of the computer so that way I can give it to you guys kind of more of like a brief formal description. Thermal imaging. And this is FLIR cameras don't work like regular cameras. They detect visible light. Instead, they capture the infrared radiation heat emitted by objects and convert it into a visual image. They use heat signatures. Everything, including people, emits heat. Hotter objects emit more infrared radiation. Image creation. FLIR cameras detect these temperature differences and translate them to visual details, allowing the operator to see heat signatures, in quotations, even in total darkness, smoke, or lighter fog. And I'm sure you guys have seen this when they're like looking for a criminal and they have the helicopters in the air with thing. You could see kind of like the criminal, like a green and a red kind of like light running across things when it's dark, or like at the border where they have it. And you could see people entering where they have the infrared cameras at. Similar to using it for those purposes, they use it to search for children, missing people. So they end up doing all this and still found nothing. So the next day, the volunteers came out. I mean, hundreds, professionals, just volunteers, everyday people came out to help look. And as it progressed through the day, it started to rain. And they started to worry that if Garrett became wet, he would not make it through another night in the mountains. And they really started to get more worried. Like, this is becoming very, 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 I mean, it was already very serious, but like they are losing hours, minutes. The weather is getting worse. So, feeling more desperate, they decide they're going to have spotlights and then speakers put out, and they're going to keep saying his name into the speakers. And that's why, like, it's so hard because if he was out there, you think he would have seen any of this. Like, oh, so tragic. By Sunday, August 22nd, now it started snowing. It's like, of course, the weather had to turn like this. And this being Sunday, though, a lot of these searchers, they had to go back to their everyday lives, their jobs. So they lost a significant amount of people. And now, due to the elements and the time that Garrett has been out here, they turn it to more of a recovery mission where they believe that he has succumbed to the weather, the elements, and things that come with being lost in the woods like this. And Tuesday, a couple of days go by, and by Tuesday, they find a sock. And although in the beginning, they did believe that this was a match to his belongings back at the campsite, and it was only about a quarter of a mile from where he went missing. Later DNA tests would confirm that it was not a match to Garrett. And the sheriff also stated that he found other articles of clothing. However, none of them were Garrett's. He believed over the years this was clothing from hikers who unfortunately lost their life because of the elements and because of an effect that takes place called the paradoxal phenomenon. And I did some research on this myself because I found it fascinating. And here's just something kind of brief to give you guys an idea what that is, because it is so crazy what our minds will do and trick us almost into believing. So I wanted to kind of share with you guys what it was if you didn't know what it was. So the first hypothesis is that this phenomenon is a consequence of peripheral vasospasm. In the bone-chilling cold, the body shrinks blood vessels in the extremities to gather blood to the body. In order to keep the internal organs' temperatures as high as possible, thanks to this mechanism, vital organs such as the brain's lungs will be less vulnerable to cold air, and thus its ability to survive will be higher. But when it reaches the point where the body can no longer resist, the muscle fibers will expand, causing the blood vessels to open again as they were. A large amount of blood flows from the main body to the limbs and makes the victim feel suddenly hot. Experts believe that this is an instant sensation that caused the victims to take off their clothes and eventually died from heat loss. The second hypothesis relates to the brain, suggesting that the low temperatures disrupt the function of the hypothalamus. Hopefully, I got that right. The center for regulating body temperature. When the body temperature drops too low, the hypothalamus sends a deadly false signal to the whole body, like it is very hot in here when it is not. So essentially, your body is going through hypothermia, and with this, it is sending signals that you are hot. So people strip their clothes all off, but not realizing because they're starting to die. Their brain is not working and functioning properly. So when they do this, they don't really realize that they now are going to die of hypothermia, which that is frightening in itself. After hundreds of volunteer law enforcement searches, Garrett has still never been found to this day. His remains, nothing. Like, through all that searching, the clothes that were found were not his, the sock, nothing. Still to this day, like, there's no answers. Like, this is literally the end of the story because Garrett's lost and all these searches they had to call off finally, and people still search. They still hold, visuals, and I just can't imagine still to this day trying to find my son. Again, I don't think I could like not go to the woods and look everywhere. It would drive me literally crazy. I just don't think I could do it. I really don't. What do you guys think down below? And I read a lot on Reddit, and of course, the internet is a toxic place, so there can be all kinds of narratives people put forward. Do you guys think that he fell victim to the terrain and he's just out there, or maybe animals have gotten a hold of him and now he's not been able to be found? How do you explain like the immediate searching that was put into place? How far could this kid have gotten? I mean, when he went missing, it was morning time. They had all of the day. How did he not get found when there's horses? There's nothing? Like, I just can't. I can't understand it. It's so mind blowing to me. Do any of you think that there is foul play here? Um, I'm not gonna lie. I'm always questioning everything, and I'm always looking at it in different ways. And before I really say what I guess is going to sound maybe insensitive to most, or I'm trying to say it was the father or a member there, I do not think that. And I just think it would be very hard if it would have been his father, but also we can't be naive and not question, could his father have something to do with it? We see it all the time. We just seen it with those three beautiful little girls that scumbag Travis Decker took from this world. So his own children. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you should go online and look it up. It's absolutely horrible. And there's a GoFundMe for Whitney, their mother, and if you can donate, would be wonderful. But we can't be naive to the fact that there's parents who kill their children every day. Why? I have no clue. Mental illness, just evil. But I just, again, we have no answers. So we're kind of left to speculate what could happen. And yeah, I lean more towards he got lost and somehow he got overlooked. I just can't. It's so hard to understand that. But again, I don't think you would have to be in a location, I feel, or have visited those areas to really grasp probably the denseness of the woods, the rocks. There's so many places. I don't know. I just feel like at 12 years old, and as like he was an experienced camper, but he was in the Boy Scouts. They are taught a lot of things. And I mean, I believe I read that he even had a survival badge, like a merit badge through the Boy Scouts. So he would have been somewhat familiar. Now, whether or not that's playing out in a real life situation and he panicked, that very much well could be, and he forgot everything he was taught. I still, I don't know. Again, leave in the comments down below what you think. Where do you think he is? Do you think he's alive? Do you think that someone was out there, saw opportunity, and snatched him up? Could there have been homeless people out there, snatched him up and took off? I don't know, because again, there's a maintained trail. Wouldn't they have seen that? Wouldn't the kids screamed? Maybe there was a trail that other people knew of. I don't know. I also seen on Reddit where this like Boy Scout thing is not so unheard of, and all these other Boy Scouts are going missing, and so I really don't know. Yeah, I could sit here and speculate and come up with things just sitting here that I'm thinking of. So let me know in the comments down below what you think. Okay, I'll shut up. Hopefully this video wasn't all over the place. I am still trying to get the dog to feel better. He seems to be doing good, so that's a plus. I'm going to run out. I'm going to try my prosthetic leg out. I got it readjusted. So if you want to see that, you can follow me over on my second channel, Counting Steps with Courtney. If you're not already subscribed, why aren't you? Because I know, because you guys love seeing me talk on here so much. You want to go over there and watch me on there. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to shut up now. I'm half asleep, probably. I did drink coffee. My fiance got me some coffee. But I'm tired of yawn. Just talking about being tired. All right, guys. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Please take a minute. Look at Garrett's picture. Maybe you know something. Maybe you've seen something. Maybe you've been working next to a young man that's just lost and wants to go home. You never know. You know, he's never found. Maybe he's alive out there. It would be amazing if he was. It really, truly would be. All right, guys, on that, I'm going to end this. See you on the next one. Bye.